Hi, I'm Bill,
And I'm Christine.
and we are doing here today to talk about the MTV Network Showcase, the Arabian challenges. This is how we plan our presentation. First of all, we're gonna talk about the MTV backgrounds, and the second thing is the stakeholders. This include Arabian community, MTV Arabia, and MTV competitors. And then we're going to talk about alternative solution, recommendations, conclusion, and business with discussion. Okay.
So, MTV background. So, MTV is an American company launched in 1981, offering 24 hours a day in music coverage. The network was primarily for the teenage and young adult market until it expanded, catering for all audiences and creating more platforms that it ran on. In 1986, MTV Networks was acquired by Viacom Incorporated, and this shift in leadership allowed for international growth. Then came in 1987, MTV International launched into the European market. And that was the start of its global expansion. MTV Networks had the ability to adapt to the cultural content of the country and places that they were representing. However, the Middle East isn't just one perspective, but rather it's filled with a rich and diverse culture with different and alternating perspectives, and therefore it was imperative to understand that. It wasn't actually until 2007 when MTV Networks actually launched their platform into the Middle East, and they did this partnering with Arab Media Group in 2007.
Okay, let's move to the first stakeholder, the local community. So the Arab market was a complicated market. There was 65% of the population aged under 25 years old, and most of them was not exposed to American culture or American music culture. And Arabian culture was a conservative culture, which was totally opposite to US culture. It has several subcultures that were significant different from each other. And the last problem of the local community is there was no international platform for the young talented local to export their music culture around the world. And however, their goal was to maintain the cultural expression and preserve the sovereignty and cultural sense of identity. Mm, And see, MTV was target the middle class first, who was exposed themselves to US culture, and then they start catered toward younger audience, like under 25 years old. The 65% of the population in the Middle East was under 25 years old. Also mean that there was around over 119 million viewers potential for them.
MTV Arabia, which is the second stakeholder that we've decided. So as previously stated, MTV Arabia entered the Middle East, partnering with Arab Media Group in 2007. AMG were already an established player in the Arab media industry. They had 8 radio stations and 3 daily newspapers. Although this provided them with some understanding of the market, MTV's controversial content could still backfire in this conservative country. Their launch team comprised of a mix of Saudis, Palestinians, Emiratis, Iraqis, and Lebanese music, and this was to cater to the tastes of that community. MTV Arabia, they decided to showcase their international music, but with 60% and 40% Arabic music. They also had local reality television shows. About 45% of MTV's content was to be produced locally, whilst the rest was translated. This allowed for a slower integration into the Arabic market to maintain the cultural integrity of the Middle East. However, it was also vital that MTV Arabia didn't dilute their brand too much, as this would lose part of their business value.
Okay, the problem that MTV Arabia faced is that there was a large proportion of the anti-American sentiment. This happened due to the historical wars between US and Saudi Arabia. In the second challenge is there was a huge difference in music culture. At that time, ATV show was mainly about hip hop music, and most of the population did not know anything about hip hop music. And the last challenge is maybe the most biggest challenge that they have to face. MTV was notorious for their sexual and provocative program. We was we was go back with my back for them when they were entering their conservative culture like Arabia market.
So our third one was MTV competitors. So there were already over 50 different music channels operating in the Middle East. These were well known, they were well respected as well. Channels such as Rotana and Melody, which were in these established musical channels, they already had the niche market in the region, and these channels were personalized for the content for youth, and therefore they were targeting MTV's segment market. It was therefore imperative for MTV to engage in a unique and different way to attract customers. MTV did this by creating a platform for the youth that allowed them to connect to American values as well. Okay.
Okay, and let's move to this alternative solution. And my suggestion alternative solution is MTV could further adjust their television program and their menu. And the possibility MTV could avoid the cultural and the communicational differences. And however, the the drawback of this is MTV might need more time to learn about Arabia culture and how they communicate to each other. Since Arabian communication way is high tech communication, which means that they depend on their social status. While US communication is low tech communication. It's like straightforward communication. And another drawback is since they learn a lot about the Arabia culture, that means they may not disseminate the American music as much as they wanted.
So the second alternative solution was MTV Arabia needed to work more with AMG to create an international platform for young talented Arabians. This will allow MTV networks to adapt to the cultural sensitivities of the region. So that's one pro. Another one is that the younger population do tend to be influenced by Western culture, and it allows MTV to provide a different and unique perspective towards entertainment. This ultimately can top competitors who are from the region because they do have that different sense of identity with their brand. However, the cons are that there is still a potential that MTV will not adapt properly with the market, and therefore that will create backlash. It can also be expensive to create these platforms, especially with the potential that it's not going to work out. Yeah, okay, recommended solutions.
And here is how we recommend the MTV should do. Like MTV Arabia should promote corporate production, music show, and reality show with AMG. Well, the reason here is AMG was a huge corporation at that time that had a radio station and three daily newspaper stations. And before that, before MTV entered this market, they allied to each other. They were allied. Therefore, corporate production music, producing music show would much easier for them, and they could help them avoid the differences in the cultures and communication that they might have faced. And the second thing is they could use their international connection as an advantage to compete with others similar channel in Arabia market.
The conclusion. So, therefore, it is seen that the challenges faced by MTV networks and their ability to integrate themselves into the Middle Eastern market, it is clear to see that the problems, the concerns, and objectives of the major stakeholders, being the local community, the MTV competitors, and MTV Arabia. The alternative solutions provided ideas on how to counteract the problem, being, mostly the cultural and political tensions that can arise. And the recommended solution is a realistic and attainable choice for MTV networks to succeed. Okay, now onto the discussion. It's been 13 years since MTV Arabia was launched. How successful have they been? So this was actually quite an interesting question when we thought about it. So MTV networks catered to a huge market segment of nearly 2 billion people worldwide, and it was expected to provide a global platform for Arabic music and culture. In 2011, MTV Arabia was renamed MTV Middle East. Although they began well with their strategies, they began to struggle as it seemed too much Western content was airing, which wasn't, that it seemed that the local community weren't that into. In 2011, MTV Middle East launched a website which allowed viewers to request music videos, vote for artists, and watch live performances, and this was to grab attention and understanding of the market. They did this because they really wanted to, because they were really struggling, I guess, with trying to figure out what was best for the market, and doing this was trying to get it from their perspective. Now, it's really important that firms are consistently challenged, because they are challenged to manage cross-cultural relations and ensure that the operations are efficient, ethical, and profitable. Unfortunately for MTV Network, this was more difficult than they thought. Unfortunately, they actually decided to shut down MTV Middle East in 2015. Now, regardless of them shutting down, we do believe that it was successful because it did run for 8 years, and it did have a major influence on MTV Arabia, regardless that it did shut down. Anyway, we will let you continue the questions. Thank you very much.
Okay.